Live on the Mile High Hoops podcast post Game 7. It's Jake Shapiro, Aniello, Piro, live from Ball Arena right now. And we're actually live and we're actually in Ball Arena. Sometimes we play tricks with you guys. The Denver Nuggets won this game 120-101. It was never really close after about, midway through the second quarter. And it just kept building and building. And it was really spurred by the non-Nikola Jokic minutes and the bench and the supporting cast. To me, this is, we talked about it after Game 4. I said that was the most impressive win of the Nuggets season. Then Game 5 was the most impressive win of the Nuggets season. I think tonight, from a team standpoint, was an extremely impressive win.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you and I were talking about it while we were doing our little post-game video. If the Nuggets were going to win this game, I did not think it would be that way. I thought it would have been a Jokic-Murray takeover type of dynamic, and that was not the case here this evening. And it was a Christian Braun legacy game. Aaron Gordon had himself a nice game. Michael Porter Jr. hit some big-time shots as well in this one. So, a lot to be happy about. And I think the nice part about it is really after the first quarter, I was stressing. I know you weren't. But it was a relatively stress-free win. I mean, after the first quarter, I was texting with some buddies, and I'm like, oh, this thing's going down to the wire. Right. Anything but that tonight.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the stats right now, AP. Christian Braun with 21 points. I thought he was 100% the difference maker, and there's no disputing that. He brought out the punch. He had the first 5 points of the game for the Nuggets, and he hit a big three in the third quarter when the Nuggets were kind of, we were kind of wondering, are the Clippers going to make a comeback? Kawhi comes out and hits just an awesome three, right? And you're wondering if it's going to be a comeback or not. And it's Christian Braun and Michael Porter Jr. are the guys that hit those big shots. It's Aaron Gordon as the guy that, carries the Nuggets through some really maybe rocky moments throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, 100%. And, we talked, what was the big narrative going into Game 6 about how, if the Nuggets come out and they go out there and kind of force their, impose their will and this and that, the Clippers might roll over and die.
Right.
Well, that obviously didn't happen in Game 6, but it happened now in Game 7 once we got past those non-Jokic minutes in the second quarter with the bench unit doing a good job of kind of slowing him down and limiting him a little bit. So all in all, man, you've got to be happy with how things were tonight, 100%, no doubt. I mean, 120-101 in a Game 7 against a team that's been playing pretty good basketball this year, you can't complain.
Yeah, and on top of it, AP, you look at the Christian Braun statistics, the 21 points. That's the most points he's ever had in his playoff career.
Crazy.
I'm looking at
crazy,
it right now.
Crazy.
It wasn't just that, but it was him keeping James Harden down. James Harden was 2 for 8 in this game with 7 points. One Nugget commented to me in the locker room, goes, Harden had 7? Damn. Yeah. So it was kind of even impressive to some of the players in the locker room. And when you walked into Ball Arena today, it kind of maybe felt like things weren't going to go the Nuggets' way, especially when you saw 125 Clippers fans bringing the noise. And I think the Nuggets did a really good job of taking the Clippers' energy out of the game early. Ivica Zubac had some boards. The Nuggets met their energy, and it was Christian Braun and Peyton Watson and Russell Westbrook were kind of that energy back. And to me, that's more impressive than Nikola Jokic just going out there with a 30-point triple-double.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, Russ had that quote that I saw going around social media after the game talking about they chose the wrong player. Right. And obviously Russ had a lot to prove, I think, in this series. He's going to play with that fire and that chip on his shoulder game in and game out. And I mean, I'll say it again. The Nuggets don't win this series without Russell Westbrook. I mean, you look at the Game 1 clutch shot there at the end, and then a couple of other moments throughout the course of it all. I mean, pretty good stuff, all things considered, from Russell Westbrook, who's been either a fan favorite or a fan not favorite, to kind of put it lightly. So you've got to be happy with that across the board, man. And I think, like I said to kind of start the show, I thought if Denver was going to win this game, it was going to be because of that two-man game from Nikola and Jamal. And I think the fact that they got a complete effort should give them some more energy and momentum going into the series now against the Thunder.
Well, and that's why I say, does this game change everything for the Nuggets? Because this was them. They've come together as a team. They've won as a team. They shut down the point of attack. I mean, between Norm Powell and James Harden, who gave them nightmares all season long whenever they played the Clippers, those two guys had 9 and 7 points. They did such a good job on defense in this game. And I think that, to me, was the most impressive part. I look at this game and I say, did we not give the Nuggets enough credit as a team against the Oklahoma City Thunder? Is the betting market right now, which is just completely crazy for the Thunder, are we not looking at the Denver Nuggets as a serious contender? Because tonight was a very serious effort by the Nuggets.
To put it this way, the Nuggets, odds-wise, are similar to where the Knicks are at and their upcoming series against the Boston Celtics. So kind of put that in perspective, is the odds makers view this series for Denver and Oklahoma City similar as they view it in Boston and New York. I think that's a complete sham. Like the fact that the Nuggets are as long of odds as they are. I mean, this is a team that has a championship pedigree, still has the best player in the world, and is now probably feeling themselves a little bit after a big-time throttling. I mean, 2 of the Nuggets' wins in this series were non-competitive. I mean, you saw what they did in Game 5. You saw what they did in Game 7 now. And so, look.
And one of the Clippers' wins was a blowout too, but I maintain that Game 2 would have been a Nuggets blowout if Kawhi doesn't have an all-time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And so that's where I think this matchup against Oklahoma City becomes very interesting because, obviously the Thunder are a good team, best team in the NBA, but you look at this classic rest versus rust dynamic. Like, does all the days off now against, sweeping the Grizzlies, does that help the Thunder or does it hurt them? But I think, we'll obviously continue to talk about this game tonight, but I think the key in this series against Oklahoma City is like what the Clippers did. You got to go out there and try to split in OKC.
Yeah, I think splitting in OKC is a must. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near possible in Game 1 with the mentality, what these guys' legs have been through. And I know
they split the regular season series 2-2. So, and I keep going back to that third game when they lost on national TV on that Sunday afternoon. I think it was 127-107, something like that. Denver box score-wise got blown out, but they were in that game till midway through the third. I don't know. They got a chance, folks. I'm not saying that they're dead in the water like everybody thinks they are.
Yeah.
I'll
come back to that.
We disagree, but.
Yeah. Is this Clippers team the toughest team the Nuggets have beaten in the playoffs in the Nikola Jokic era? It's the first 50-win team Nikola Jokic has beaten.
That's a good question. I still think they were young, but that 23 Wolves team with Cat, they were pretty darn
that
good.
They won in 5?
I think that I guess when you're looking at it that way, sure. But I just think like knowing what Minnesota's become and how good they've been against Denver. But yes, this is probably the best playoff victory of the Jokic era.
I think it's the Clippers in the bubble. I think that was the best team they've beaten.
I discount I shouldn't say discount, but like it's the bubble. Like I kind of just treat it as its own thing.
Yeah, I understand that.
No home court advantage for either team. Kind of like high school gym vibes.
Murray shooting,
unconscious
the entire
and they also had like how many weeks worth of rest everybody across the league before the playoffs started.
Right. It's a weird factor. So non-bubble, I think this is definitively the best team they've played in the playoffs. If you look at the bubble, I think that team is slightly better than this one, but point being, this is one of the finest series wins the Nuggets have had.
100%.
And I think a lot of credit needs to go out to David Adelman. They made a lot of adjustments throughout the course of this series. He's matching in a coach in Ty Lue that a lot of people, AP said, was the best coach in the NBA, if not one of the top 3. And Jeff Van Gundy, his bench boss, and people were crediting the Clippers for remaking their defense. This Clippers team was very deep. They had many options. The Nuggets didn't have many options. They kind of just had to run out whoever they ran out. So to me, this said a lot about the mental fortitude of this team, which was set by Michael Malone and is something that's carried through this era, but was lost at some point throughout the season. But DA has kind of recaptured that.
Does Denver win this series if Malone is the head coach?
No. The Nuggets are 7-3 with David Adelman as the coach.
I'm inclined to agree with that. That was kind of my first thought, like after like the first 15, 20 minutes of digesting this game is like I put the tweet out at Denver Sports 1043 The Fan, like take that L on the way out, especially with what we saw from the fans. And we should get into that here in just a second from the Clippers perspective. But I tend to agree with you. I think David Adelman, and I forget which reporter it was someone national, maybe ESPN or Bleacher Report, one of those two, talked about, or I think it was Shams actually. He talked about how he's heard from people inside this organization and potentially outside the organization that Jokic is as free and as loose and is not carefree, but just exhaled that we've seen him in a long time. And so I think that's obviously the purpose and the thought of firing Michael Malone is to try to get this team back on track. What did Josh Kroenke say? Go out there and have fun, play hard, right? And it looks like that's exactly what the Denver Nuggets are doing right now.
Game 3 in LA, they get killed.
Yep.
Everyone from the Clippers shoots well. They go down 2-1. I even write the headline 1-2-3 Cancun. I think they're done if Malone's the coach after that. Instead, they come back Game 4. Aaron Gordon literally gets in a fist fight. They stop the fists, but he gets in a fist fight with James Harden. Series hinges. Aaron Gordon hits the tip dunk. And I haven't seen the Nuggets that happy all year. And
you got Siri going on.
Siri wants to weigh in on the series. But to me, like that was DA recapturing some of the things that made the Nuggets great. Again, I do think this team is short. I think this team has been on a death march to running into a better team. But the Clippers were a better team, and the Nuggets beat them. Like the Clippers were by far a better team. Maybe not by far, but they were definitely the better team.
I mean, if you're Steve Ballmer and if you're a Clipper fan, like you got to be sick to your stomach. Just because I thought that this Nuggets team was a little bit of a dead team walking. And I think to your point, like, yes, the Clippers on paper, the Los Angeles on papers, as I like to call them, are a better team than the Denver Nuggets. They were the better team at multiple points throughout the course of this series. But I think you see that pedigree, you see the continuity of this Nuggets team and this breath of fresh air that has been David Adelman now as interim head coach that has helped propel this team to a 7-game series victory or game 7 victory. Rather.
You know the question that's coming.
Uh-oh.
Did DA do enough to become the Nuggets head coach?
I'm not there yet.
Did DA do enough to be in consideration to be the Nuggets head coach?
Yes, I thought that before the playoffs even started. I wasn't going to hold playoff downfalls against David Adelman just because if it did go that way, like if they got bounced in 4 or 5 this series, I just think he was put in a situation no person has ever been in. Exactly. I mean, 3 games to go, like you can only do so much, right? So like not to try to make an excuse for him if it did go that way, but I think I've said it on the show. I think the only way that David Adelman is a lock to be the next head coach of the Nuggets is a finals appearance. I think if they get to the conference finals, if they beat the Thunder, I think they
might still go down to the Wolves. Right. That's a scenario.
But it's also like, who's the GM? Like, again, these are conversations for the offseason, but like, I think a lot of it, even if they do get to the finals, who's to say the GM doesn't come in here and say that was a fluke? Like, we're going to do it this way. So,
okay. Then the other big storyline I had going into this game, and I talked to you, I bugged you about this with our guy, Zach By from the Drive, and I was talking to Andy Bailey about this from Bleacher Report. I said tonight, we're going to find out who Christian Braun is as a player. We're going to find out how much money he's worth this offseason, whether or not he should be traded from the Denver Nuggets, whether or not maybe he's even sneakily the 3rd most important Nugget. We're going to find out a ton about Christian Braun tonight. Peyton Watson said to me after the game, he said, I know who CB is a player, and he proved what I thought tonight. Again, I said it at the top. I think this was the most impressive game of Christian Braun's career. I think Christian Braun probably made himself at least $10 million more tonight. He's extension eligible this offseason. And I think from where I was after game 3, where I even put it out online, the Nuggets need to seriously consider not giving Christian Braun that extension and trading him. After tonight and what was proven to be true, you're going to have a very, very hard time trading Christian Braun, even if you bring a GM in here with the intent of being a star and Christian Braun is your main trade piece.
Well, and I think what's interesting about that too, and like from a personality dynamic, Christian Braun is everything that you want. And you don't just trade away those players. Like, let's take Bones Highland just as an example, right? Like, and I understand that he's kind of fallen out of popularity in the NBA, but like, that's how the NBA goes sometimes. Like, you can have the raw talent, but if you don't have it up here, things can fall before your eyes. And I think, Christian Braun, a high IQ player, a high effort player, and a guy that has a lot of the skill sets that can obviously, complement a championship team. I mean, they've already won 1 championship with Christian Braun playing a semi-significant role on that team. So, I mean, unless it's a Godfather offer to bring in like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, which isn't a good fit alongside Nikola Jokic. Like, I think
he's the best fit ever.
Really?
Yep. I think he's a supercharged Aaron Gordon.
Interesting. But point being with Christian Braun, man, like he's a guy that to put it kind of in sports talk radio terms, you don't trade Christian Braun away unless you're winning that trade running away.
Yeah.
You don't do that for like a 1-for-1 swap. Like, you need to like have the league be like, wow, Denver fleeced X team. That needs to be the vibe around a trade if we do go down that route.
So in the series, he shot 32% from 3. Russ shot 13 for 31 from 3. Neither of them are going to be, like, oh my God, that was amazing, but both good enough.
They're role players.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're looking for.
But you don't have role players on this roster that are going to light you up from threes. Some guys are out there just to shoot threes.
They don't have
it's
a Batum, a
Bogdan Bogdanovic. Yeah. So the Nuggets have to find ways to win untraditionally. And tonight they out-rebounded the Clippers by 10. And I thought the toll the Nuggets played physically on this series, obviously in game 6, it worked against them. Like, the physicality just was not met by the Nuggets. Game 7, I think the physicality finally wore on the veteran Clippers, and they just straight up did not have legs in the second half of this game. Like, they couldn't shoot. They couldn't go up for rebounds. They couldn't guard. If you look and watch back the first 2 threes from MPJ in the third quarter, Kawhi loses him and is just straight up not hustling to find MPJ and contest those shots.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like that's why you question the will and desire of this Clippers team. Like not just because of the playoffs, but like also like what are the Clippers? Like what have they accomplished as a franchise? I'll ask the same question about Oklahoma City. What have they accomplished as a franchise? But you just kind of expected James Harden to not show up in this game. Right?
By the way, do you know the last time Russell Westbrook won a playoff series where he played a majority of the series? I'll phrase it that way.
It's got to be OKC, no?
2015-16, second round against the Spurs.
I was in
Kevin
high school.
Durant.
I was in high school.
Yes. That's before they lost 3-1 to the Warriors when they blew the 3-1.
Yeah.
So what has OKC done as a franchise? They lost to the Nuggets as a franchise with the Kemba Mutombo holding the ball over his head. That's the same franchise, the Seattle Supersonics.
It's a good point, and that's why, again, we're going to probably pot about this. You know, obviously we've got a whole new series to talk about now, but like just because I think the NBA of all the regular seasons in all the sports, the NBA regular season means the least to me. I think playoff basketball is just a completely different animal and a different beast, which is why I had to kind of gut check myself throughout this course of the series, because it's like they're not doing things that they normally do. They're not playing a certain way, right? You almost have to wipe the slate clean. So I'm not trying to completely throw away what Oklahoma City's done. They're an incredible team, best team in the NBA for a reason. But I will discount regular season success just a little bit in regards to, this team is 65 plus wins versus this Nuggets team that's reeling. It's playoff basketball, man. This is the pressure cooker. What did Oklahoma City do with a very similar roster last year? What did they do in the playoffs last year?
They got Luka.
They're about to get Jokic, maybe. Again, I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself here, but I'm just saying, like, anyone that's like immediately, like ESPN, everyone had the Lakers, running down the wall. I think literally everybody in their little piece that they did before everyone had the Lakers, right? Like, I'm not blindly going into this series saying the Nuggets have no chance. They have a chance, not a huge one, but I would not be shocked if Denver figures out a way to win this one. And I will say this: there's one scenario in which the Nuggets win this series, and it's in 7. I don't see it any other way. I'd be shocked.
You know what I'm
Nuggets in 4.
You know what I'm going to say it. It's the best.
Say it with your chest.
So the Knicks last year when they played Indiana, Indiana scored 130 in that game 7. But I'm looking right now, and in NBA history, there have been, about 200 game 7s. I'm just pulling up the numbers. Wow. And the Nuggets scored 120, which would tie them for the 23rd most points in a game 7. And a lot of these in front of them are from the 60s or 90s, just a different era of basketball. So
Plumbers and firemen, in the words of JJ Redick.
Since the year turned to 2000, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game 7s have had a higher scoring performance. And to me, it wasn't even the Nuggets offense that was impressive. It was their defense tonight that turned it up. So that's one of the things I keep in mind is just how much the Nuggets turned up. Tonight was the first time in Nuggets history that 6 different players had 15 points or more in a playoff game.
Wow.
Which again goes to show you that team effort. Nikola Jokic actually did pick up a triple-double in this game at the very end.
I thought he had 8 assists. Did he finish with 10?
He finished with 10. Didn't he? No. And Jake reads the box score wrong. Nightly Chronicle.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I just did the Nightly Chronicle. But he had no offensive rebounds in this game, which was interesting. But the Clippers they had no legs. They ran out of juice. They played all out for game 6 because they needed to. They were desperate. And I think that ultimately, if they needed to win that game 4 in LA to go up, 3-1, and it's the Aaron Gordon tip dunk that changes the entire season for the Nuggets and maybe saves this era and keeps this core together. Obviously, we'll have a lot of conversations about what we do with this core in the offseason, and obviously a lot of it depends on moving forward now. But you look at this OKC team as a beast, and you're talking, no, they haven't done much as a franchise. They lost last year, blah, blah, blah. There's only 7 teams, I think, in NBA history that have won 68 games in a season. I think 6 of the 7 won the finals. This and the one that didn't was the Warriors that got 3-1, the 73-9 Warriors. So this is a monumental task, this Oklahoma City team. This offseason, I wrote an article for denversports.com detailing why I thought the Nuggets would struggle against Oklahoma City in a potential playoff series. And the number one reason for me is ball pressure, and the Nuggets don't have a way to alleviate that. Jamal Murray is going to get picked up full court by Lou Dort, who is the best defender for Jamal Murray in the NBA. SGA is going to be all over Christian Braun. He's no slouch himself. Kason Wallace, Alex Caruso, all these guys are going to come in waves. Who is the secondary ball handler for the Denver Nuggets? Is it going to be Aaron Gordon? Are you going to put that type of pressure on Aaron Gordon? Is Christian Braun going to have to focus more on offense and do some of those things on offense? And all of a sudden that takes away attention from his defense, which he needs to stop the guy who's about to win the MVP in SGA. I think it's just an impossible problem that the Nuggets have, and they don't have enough ball handling.
Impossible.
I think it's an impossible problem. And the guy that can solve the problem, the ultimate wild card. Yeah, Russell Westbrook. Because when he gets the ball, he said it himself tonight. Sometimes going to be a turnover. Sometimes going to be made shot. Sometimes going to be missed shot. You never know what you're getting. It's Russell Westbrook. So the Nuggets are going to be reliant on the best player in the history of the Oklahoma City Thunder to go out and beat them. Like, that's the case. Like, they need Russell Westbrook's ball handling and IQ to make smart decisions with the basketball to alleviate pressure, because Jamal Murray is going to get run ragged in this series.
I don't disagree. I mean, the Thunder are an incredible team. And again, I think the Thunder are obviously a favorite for a reason. I just think it's a little too steep. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. But I think you hit on a couple good things. Christian Braun, interesting type of matchup dynamic for him in this series. Russell Westbrook, obviously. Jokic, best player in the world.
And on Christian Braun, the Nuggets got rid of KCP and kept Christian Braun because they thought Christian Braun was a better guy to guard SGA and Anthony Edwards, and that to the Nuggets were the two threats in the West. Because KCP was got to guard guys like Damian Lillard and Steph Curry. The Nuggets no longer believe those guys are threats to their championship window. So they banked with Christian Braun, who they think is a better candidate to guard those guys. So that's going to play out.
No, 100%. And I just go back to those regular season matchups, man. I mean, I'll throw game one out the window because it was game one, right? Get your feet back under you. They won game two. They were in game three when they lost, and then won game four on the second night of a back-to-back. I just think that the Nuggets as a team are far more battle-tested. Sometimes there could be trouble in paradise. You cruise through the regular season. You cruise through the first round, right? And then you've got this not watered down, but you've got this beaten down Nuggets team that just had to fight in a 7-game war against the Los Angeles Clippers. And so I just wonder how the Thunder will perform in the pressure cooker, especially as we go on later and later and later into this series. But I also just think, man, like we're still waiting for that Nikola Jokic God mode, Nirvana-esque play. I mean, we had it for a little bit in this series, but we haven't seen full Jokic mode yet. I'd say we're at like 75 to 80% of what Nikola Jokic can be and what we've seen him be. And I think I go back to the quote. I said it probably 5,000 times on this show. Talked about how he thinks he's playing the best basketball of his career when asked about the MVP race.
On that, he wanted to win the MVP this year.
Exactly. So that's, to me, what sets up for Jokic waking up, looking himself in the mirror and speaking Serbian and saying, let's go out there and embarrass this guy on his home court.
So game two or game five, likely SGA is going to get that trophy. Could be an all-time Jokic moment.
100%. SGA is a phenomenal player. He is. And I think his story is still unwritten, as is Nikola Jokic's. But like, Nikola Jokic is a transcendent player. And I think because of that, and we've talked about it time and time again, when you have the basketball is the one sport where one player can will you to victory. And the Nuggets have an ace in their cap, a joker in their cap with a guy like Nikola. I think it's only in 7. I don't think Denver wins it in short order. I think it has to be in 7 games just because Oklahoma City's that good. But I don't think we can just be happy to be here in this series. I think Denver's got a real chance. Even if they get blown out in game 1.
I need to pour into the data a little bit more before I give a prediction. I don't feel great about waiting.
I don't feel great about it either.
It looks pretty rough to me, but I'm going to wait to give my official prediction. The one thing I'll say is, according to Peyton Watson, the Nuggets have the best bench in the NBA. And a lot of people would say it's Oklahoma City, and that to me is of concern. Oklahoma City is a very deep team. They played a lot of bodies this year, a lot of them very successful. We're going to start to see that rotation get dwindled down as they advance deeper in the series and deeper in this playoffs. And I think it's going to be something Mark Daigneault is going to have to solve because they aren't playoff tested. We found out in this series, Chris Dunn became completely unplayable. Like, there are guys that are going to become unplayable. The Nuggets don't have any question marks about who's playing because they only have 7 guys that they can play. I don't think DJ is going to play in the series. I think you might see a little Zeke Naji, but it's not going to be pretty. Like, it's going to be, Nikola Jokic is going to need to be the best player. I thought in this series, he ended up being the best player, but it wasn't by much. And he's going to need to be the best player by a lot in that series.
Yeah. And I just think the best is yet to come for him. Like, I refuse to think that Jokic will play the same way that he did in this series. Like it's kind of as simple as that for me. And so I'm excited, man. Quick turnaround, but I'm excited.
A couple more narrative things that I just think about come off my head. So Jokic in this series is playing a bunch of guys that he played against in the Olympics, and that's kind of, the international basketball field is always a court. Going into that next series, we all remember what happened with Jamal Murray this summer and how bad it looked for Team Canada. It was a disappointment to all of Canada. They thought they should have been a medal team, especially after their World Cup. Jamal's playing SGA, the star of Team Canada, Lou Dort, who's the starter for Team Canada in this series, and Aaron Wiggins, who's also on that Canada team. is this the Jamal Murray F you, I'm actually the best Canadian basketball player series? I'm just saying, like, that there's some potential there.
That's what Jamal tends to do.
Yeah.
Jamal is the one player on this team that I think really rises to the occasion when there's a lot of doubt and confusion and questions. Like, he's the one guy who I think internalizes that, and then he uses that to come out and deploy an incredible basketball like we saw in Game 5. So again, man, I don't really know what else to say other than I'm not down and out. I'll put it that way. I'm half full in the tummy right now. I think that there's a chance. I do think there's a chance.
Well, I just want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Mountain High Appliance as we wrap up today's Mile High Hoops podcast. I'm not sure when our next podcast is going to be. We'll definitely be talking to you on Monday night after the game. We might try to do something before the game. We've got my massive preview article that will come out at some point. But
good luck, brother.
It's his birthday. And it's also my birthday in 2 hours. So we are going to try and, as David Adelman said, maybe have a glass of red wine tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, and try to enjoy it. But there's not enough time to remember this series because we're on to the next thing, and we're on to Oklahoma City. And I'd rather do nothing else for my 30th birthday than watch the two best players in the NBA square off in a playoff series. So don't feel bad for me. He's Aniello Piro. I'm Jake Shapiro. We're going to talk to you very soon here on the Mile High Hoops podcast. Make sure you're following everything on denversports.com.